Thank you so much.
Alberta, I don't think I got a booklet. Do they have an extra one?
Did you get one at home?
No, they didn't send one, I don't think.
Excuse us one second. Sarah, Commissioner Tara did not get a booklet at all.
They were delivered to your house. We had a case of fire television.
To my house? No, nothing came. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks.
Okay. Public comments. Does anyone from the public have any public comments on non-agendized items? All of you are on agendized items, I'm sure. Okay, this is for non-agendized items. Okay, sir, would you please fill out a slip?
Not completed.
And would you state your name? And
Yeah, my name's Dale Helvig. I'm with the Park Santiago Neighborhood Association, and I just want to say I appreciate the work that you guys do. And when the time comes, I hope you'll support us in opposing the project at 2525 Main Street. It's not a good use of the land. It's right around the Park Santiago directly. It's in North Santa Ana. It's going to create a lot of congestion up in there, and I think it's not needed in that area. And so I hope you'll support us when the time comes. Thank you.
thank you, Dale. Anyone else non-agendized? Then we're going to move forward. At this time, it's for the commission to consider the matters under consent items A, which is approval of the minutes of the special meeting held January 25th. Are there any corrections? Okay, item B would be the excused absence of Commissioner Hardy. And C, certified local government's 2016-17 annual reports. Is there a motion to move the consent calendar with those three items?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tar.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rushi.
I was moved by Wynn.
Oh, Lynn, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Make that
Okay.
correct. I thought it came from you.
Came from this direction.
It came from that direction, okay? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried with 5-2 with the absence of Commissioner Schaefer and Hardy. Okay. We move on now to Commissioner communication disclosures.
I have one disclosure, Madam Chair. Both Commissioner yourself, Christie, and Commissioner Hitterdale on Sunday went and visited all the homes, and we got to talk to George Will of 2457 North Park Boulevard. Also, I recused myself of item number 5 on Greenleaf because I'm within the 500-foot radius.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Rush.
Yes, I just want to disclose that Sunday I viewed all of the the properties that are coming before us to today with Debbie McEwen, who is president of French Park Neighborhood Association. So I don't believe, we didn't run into any of the property owners, which is unusual, but we didn't. So.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you so much, commissioners. Okay. Now, we will move to our business calendar. Now, we do have item 1. We do have to open this up, I understand, as a public hearing, even though It's going to be next month before, but we do have to open up the public hearing, go through that whole process, close it, and then move it to the decision to the next meeting in April, okay? So this is the time and place for the public hearing for Historic Resource Commission application number 2017-41, Historic Register categorization number 2017-40, and Historic Property Preservation Agreement number 2017-45 for the property located at 2145 North Greenleaf Drive. Okay, have we received any written communication?
Not for this item.
Okay, the public hearing is now open. Anyone wish to speak for this? If not here, the public hearing is now closed. I'll bring it back to the commission for any comments. And I do want to say that the applicant has requested that the matter be continued to April 26, 2018. Commissioner Hill.
Madam Chair, I move that we continue this matter until the meeting of April 26th.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Hitterdale, seconded by Commissioner Tariff. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carried 5-2 with the absence of Commissioner Hardy and Commissioner Schaefer. Okay, now, this is the time and place for the public hearing on item number 2 for Historic Resource Commission application number 2017-39, Historic Register categorization number 2017-38, and Historic Property Preservation Agreement to 2017-43 for the property located at 2462 North Riverside Drive. Staff now will do a presentation.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Before I jump into the presentation on the second item, I'd like to provide a quick overview of the categorizations we'll be seeing tonight. The properties that we're looking at today fall into two categories, contributive and key. To be eligible as contributive, the building, structure, object, or site has to contribute to the overall character and history of the neighborhood or district and be a good example of period architecture. To be eligible as key, the building, structure, object, or site has to have a distinctive architectural style and quality, be characteristic of a significant period in the history of the city, or be associated with a significant person or event in the city. Item number 2 is being called the Jenny Lasby Tesman House, and it's located on 2462 North Riverside Drive within the Floral Park neighborhood. I would like to point out that there's been an edit made. Tesman is spelled with 2 N's and not 1, as shown on the staff report and exhibits. The property is a single-story Tudor revival constructed in 1931 by prominent local builder E.C. Rogers, who resided in the property for the first 2 years. It is recommended that the property be listed on the register and categorized as key for its distinctive architectural style and quality, for its association with a significant period in the city, and for its association with a significant person. The property is a highly characteristic example of a modestly sized Tudor revival. It's clad in stucco and capped by a cross-gabled, steeply pitched roof. The roof is clad in a contemporary asphalt shingle and has little to no overhanging eaves. The west wing is front-gabled and contains a slightly recessed wood tripart casement window. 3 brick stairs lead up to the entry porch, which is set approximately in the middle of the facade and sheltered by a front gabled hood supported by wooden posts and accented by decorative half timbering. Although E.C. Rogers did live on the property, the most prominent residents were Jenny Lasby Tessman and her husband, John Tessman. Ms. Tessman was hired by Santa Ana College in 1919, where she taught astronomy until her retirement in 1946. She was actively engaged in astronomical research in the late 1930s and was one of about 50 women doing research in the U.S. She was also associated with George Ellery Hale and Dr. Albert Einstein, and was credited as the first woman to enter the Mount Wilson Observatory as a researcher. Given the distinguishing characteristics of the Tudor Revival style, its contribution to the Floral Park neighborhood, and the fact that it's associated with E.C. Rogers and Jenny Lasby Tessman, staff recommends the approval of listing of the property as key, and recommends that the city enter into a Mills Act agreement with the owner. That concludes staff's presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Does any of the commissioners have questions of the staff? Commissioner Rush?
A couple things. When I went out and looked at the property, I can't help but notice that the windows, as you're facing the front door, the set of windows to the left, there's 3 bays of windows there, and on either side of the central bay, there is windows which are leaded diamond windows, which would appear to be, to me, absolutely, those were not original to the house, because the windows on the opposite side are would appear to be casement windows, divided like casement windows. They're similar size. They look like 2, 4, 6, 8.
Can we
maybe
go-
like
Can we
Yeah,
go back
we-
to the picture
show
of
the
the home,
picture.
please? Can you bring the picture? Can it make it zoom it in on the house?
Can you zoom in on that picture?
I don't think you can as part of the presentation.
Oh, well, anyway, the windows to the left are very poorly done. The leaded glass diamond windows are, they're collapsing, and they're different than the windows on the right. And since this is this isn't a set of windows that faces the side, this is on the front of the house, and the house is recommended it be marked as key because of who built it and who lived there. And my second question is, why would we not call this home the Rogers Tessman home? Emmett Rogers was a prominent builder in Santa Ana, particularly North Santa Ana. Built a lot of houses in Floral Park and Park Santiago and Washington Square and Wilshire Square and so forth. Why wouldn't we? Granted, he only lived there 2 years, but we're calling this a key categorization because of Emmett Rogers, and I don't disagree with that. But I think the name of the home should be referred to as a Rogers Tessman home.
Thank you, Commissioner. We actually do have a Rogers house. As you so mentioned, he was a prominent builder, so there was bound to have a house with his name on it. So he actually is listed on one of the homes as his name. The reason why we went with Jenny Lasby Tessman, it seemed to be the more prominent of the two. We'd certainly be open to suggestions to change the name if the Commission feels like that's the case.
Well, before we debate that, let's talk about the issue of these windows.
I do note that the kitchen, there was a kitchen window change out in 2001. I believe the homeowner is here, Ms. Christine Switzer. She might be able to kind of address that question a little more closely.
Are the windows I'm talking about look into the kitchen? I didn't go up and peer in your windows, but I'm assuming that's a dining room or something, right? Yeah. You weren't home. One of your neighbors came up and was probably wondering, why are you wandering around this woman's property? And I just told her who I was, so, sorry about that. Anyway, so those are my 2 questions. I'm not opposed to the house going on the register, but I have to say I'm really disturbed by those windows on the left. They don't match. And I think it takes away a lot from the symmetry and the balance of what's there. And on top of that, they were poorly done. That's why they're collapsing. So anyway, those are my thoughts.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Rush, if I may. We can certainly condition the Mills Act application to require the homeowner to restore the windows to original, if that's a suggestion that you have and you'd like to make.
Yes, I'd like to make that.
Yes. Sure. We'd like to hear from the applicant.
I am the homeowner. I have not noticed that there was anything wrong with those windows, so thank you for bringing that to my attention. My question to you is, if you walk around our neighborhood, there are many, many houses with a similar design, and I just assumed they came with the home. There's one directly behind me that is exactly like it with the same windows. It never occurred to me so many people put in windows after their original design. I just thought they were original to the house and would love some input on that.
Vince?
Can I respond?
Okay. Yes.
I think it's highly unlikely that, and of course, again, we weren't here in 1931 when the house was built, but it is highly unlikely that those windows did not match. Very unlikely. And but if you take a look at those leaded diamond windows, you'll see that they're doing. I mean, those things are ready to collapse, and that was poorly done, because windows of that style, if they were done properly, that would not be occurring. Having said that, the fact that they're weak, need, and ready to go is not my issue. My issue is that it takes away from the symmetry of the house on the primary facade that faces the street, and that's what we're mostly concerned with for these houses on the register. And I'm not attempting to pick the fly specks out of the pepper, but windows are a big deal. And if our historical registry doesn't stand for some degree of quality, not just quantity, then pretty soon people say, "Well, gee, you let that house on. Why are you forcing me to do X or Y, or why are you objecting to my house?" So that's my point. It is highly unlikely. If you're able to show staff some pictures from the early days of the house that reflect that those windows are original, then I'm willing to amend my request. But otherwise, I think that it would behoove you and your property value and our registry to have them match.
Okay, I'd like to address with the staff on the name. Okay, Tessamon, first female astrophysicist. Big thing. Planetarium at Santa Ana College. Tessamon. Young ladies, go in there and see what an outstanding person Mrs. Tessamon was, as far as being a scientist with Albert Einstein that we didn't have. If that's not key, and she's been there, and as a prominent citizen that's out there to motivate other people in the astrophysics, being an astrophysicist, I don't know what have. As far as the developer, I'm sure he has other homes that he's been in. But this is an award-winning scientist that we had who taught here, that made an impression here, and I, for one, say let us keep it as the Jenny Lasby Tessamon home. That's what I'm saying, in order to say, look at the prominence of a person that's been in the science field, recognized during this time, okay, throughout the world, decided to live here. That's my comments with the staff on the name. We are not.
Well, after that passionate presentation, Alberta, I'll yield to the chair.
Thank you.
children and grandchildren too, for sure. You know, I mean, just not on that, but thank you so much. Okay? All right.
Madam Chair, could I ask a question of staff?
Yes.
I'd like to know if in the past, the commission has approved homes that are not necessarily pristine or perfect according to the original design. I mean, has that happened before?
Melanie? Ms. McCann?
There has been occasion when that has taken place, particularly for key homes. So say there's someone significant that's lived there, maybe the stucco's not perfect, maybe it's been modified, or something else, then we have allowed it to be on the list. With the Mills Act, there's the opportunity that if it is something that could be corrected, that through the Mills Act we could work with the applicant to create a plan to transition it back to what's most appropriate.
Which, you know, she is saying, well, we'll have her to come up and give comments because of the fact that I was also going to say to staff, we know through Commissioner Schaefer that they have historic people who restore. I forgot what you call those, restorationers? Is that what
Specialists,
they're
right.
talking- that we know that can get it back to you know, for the windows and so forth, back to its original, to work with the homeowners, especially since there's money in the Mills Act for this to help to get it back to the original, and that
It's an
that's
option.
what has happened, especially with higher designation of the homes on the historic, like a key home, to make it as pristine as possible.
If I could make a comment, Madam Chair, I don't mean to appear rigid and unyielding. I would be perfectly fine if we made it a condition that within, pick a number, I don't know, 24 months, 36 months, that those windows are brought back to original. There are, I mean, after our meeting is over, we can give you 2 or 3 excellent firms that are local. One in particular who lives in Park Santiago, who did casement windows almost identical to yours at my house. I had some that were removed and they put in plate glass. I don't know what the lady was thinking, but that's not a difficult thing at all to recreate. So if you would be amenable to that, why? I'm not saying it has to be done next week. So,
Okay.
Madam
Well,
Chair, if I could comment on that. I appreciate your comments, Chairman or Commissioner Rush, regarding that. I would rather it be a request than a condition. I don't even know if we can condition something like that for 3 years in the future. I'd rather see it as your comments are duly noted, and I'd rather see it as that.
Okay, we're in the comment section right now, okay? There's no decision made as of yet on any of.
And I would make just one more comment as well, that we as staff would want to go back and just affirm that, because there are occasions where the windows are different, and just to affirm your sense from the field.
Okay, all right. Now, we'll just move on. We have here, we'll bring up the applicant. Christine, would you mind coming? Please let us know how you came to Santa Ana and chose this home.
I found myself empty nested and single, didn't know anything about the area. Fell in love with Floral Park, walked in that house and fell immediately in love with it. She spoke to me, I swear she did. And I don't know why it took me 9 years to actually apply. I've been there for 9 years. And my understanding when I bought it was that those were the originals, so I absolutely astounded that they're not. So I do want to look into that and make sure and talk to all my neighbors who have the same windows. And when I bought the house, they told me that it was intentionally wavy because that was what the architect or builder wanted. And so I don't know if they're original or not, or replacements. I have Jenny, Professor Lasman, actually, Tessman, lived there for 27 years. And then after that, it was just a fellow by himself for the next 40. I'm believe I'm the 5th owner if you count the first one for 2 years. And I'm very happy in that house. I don't know if you want to know more about Tessman or not. I've done a lot of research. There's lots of pictures about her. I'm just thrilled that she lived in my home. I don't know how you actually talk about why this house should be on Mills Act or Historic. It's a great house. It's certainly a testament to who she was. She published 3 books, Women of the West, which as a single career woman myself, I just take great pride in the fact she lived in my home. She also published Men of Science and Eminent Women of the United States, and we're looking back in the 30s and 40s. She retired in 1946 after 27 years on the faculty. She's originally from Minnesota, which coincidentally so am I. That's where I was born. She was the first woman researcher, like has been mentioned, and was the first one invited to Mount Wilson Observatory. She did spend time in Germany where she had met her husband. She was actively engaged in research since the late 1930s and was one of about 50 women doing research in the United States. And it was agreed among many of the scholars that she was among the highest in experience and achievement. And I found this quote from one of the Santa Ana College yearbooks that I think is worth mentioning. It was stated, "She has shown us worlds beyond our own realm and therefore has helped us reach for greater understanding." And I'd like to think my house might qualify for a designation. Thank you.
Would you mind sharing copies of, the pictures that you have with the staff, and so that we can just put it into our archives,
These are just my copies. I can get you some, and I can get some.
They'll give it back to you. They'll mail them back to you.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be happy to. I give them to you?
To share that.
I know.
Just
and here she is on the cover of a Western Woman magazine in 1931. I mean, this is an amazing woman. She didn't ever have any children, and she died in 57, I believe.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay.
I'll be happy to give them to you.
Madam Secretary, have we received any written communications?
We have not.
Okay. Now, is there anyone else that wished to speak on this application? Thank you. Tell me your name, please.
My name is Dylan Almondrell. I am the archivist and historian in the Santa Ana History Room in the Public Library right across the plaza here. Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is my first meeting with the HRC. I'm very, very happy that I was able to make the time to be here today. I worked on a lot of research about Jenny Tessman for Christine, and her story is amazing. This woman is responsible not only as an educator, but for bringing astronomy to Santa Ana, Orange County. The Bishop Observatory, sitting on top of Russell Hall, was in part designed by her and paid for by Clyde Bishop in 1923. It was in his own private ownership until he passed, and then his wife allowed Jenny to bring students to the house in Lemon Heights. The house is still there. It's owned by Sue Lindstedt. Some of you may know her. And this woman is responsible for bringing science and lecturers and so many different people to Santa Ana to speak at not only the college, but with the Ebell Society, as she was an avid member for over 40 years. She was an avid lecturer as well in her own right throughout California, the United States, and in Europe. She spoke on subjects of current events in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, as well as astronomy and the sciences. And she was a pioneer in women in science. Her legacy is so incredibly important to Santa Ana because she is a representative of women in science, and that is a largely underserved community. And as a man researching this amazing, admirable woman, I was able to teach my staff about her, and they became excited and inspired. And the house is a symbol of how she chose to live, very quaintly, very sweetly, and in a neighborhood where at the time she was able to live around her other faculty and really communicate better and impact more lives that way. I'm still doing research on Jenny Tessman because there's tons. We have newspapers going back from 1919 to her death in 1959. She appeared in the paper every week for various things. And so I really suggest that this house be made key on the basis that Jenny Tessman is a woman of note in our community and a woman of science in the world. And that is all I have to say. I thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this application? If not, I'm going to declare that the public hearing is now closed. Okay, we'll bring it back to the commission for a motion, please.
Could I make a comment first, Chair?
Go right
Christie? This may have been mentioned previously. If I missed it, I'm sorry, but I believe the planetarium at Santa Ana College is named after Jenny Tessman Planetarium. I've been there. It's really, it's great. So that's all I wanted to say.
Just, with her as far as teaching, the planetarium is used as an instructional in the science. And that's, if you've never been, you should be there. 10,000 students a year go through that planetarium to learn about the stars. 10,000 throughout the whole county of Orange. That's how important, and she started that on that. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion, please? Okay. Commissioner Rush.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that we adopt the application number 2017-39 and Historic Register categorization number 2017-38 and Historic Property Preservation Agreement 2017-43 to allow the placement and categorization of the Santa Ana Register of Historical Properties as key for the property located at 2462 North Riverside Drive, and to execute a Mills Act agreement with the City of Santa Ana and Christine Schweitzer, and that it be noted that we have strongly requested that she replace her windows on the northeast corner of the front facade.
Is that there a second to that?
I'll second.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Rush, second by Commissioner Tarr. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Motion carries with 5 to 2. Six. Oh my gosh, I forgot me. Okay. 6-0. No nays and 2 absents. Commissioner Schaefer and Commissioner Hardy on that. Congratulations, Christine. Thank you so much.
Now, don't get all starry-eyed just because this happened tonight, okay? Pun intended, yes.
By the way, it's a beautiful home. It really is. You have to, the picture does not do it justice. No, it does not. Okay?
I didn't, if I could just say, I didn't realize that who Tessman was, Jenny Lasme Tessman. I knew that the planetarium at the college is Tessman Planetarium, but I'm really glad to learn more about this wonderful lady.
You learn something every day, right?
Try to.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you all. Congratulations again. Okay. Okay. Now is the time and place for the public hearing on item number 3 for the Historic Resource Commission application, number 2017-38, Historic Register Capitalization 2017-37, and Historic Property Preservation Agreement 2017-42 for the property located at 2457 North Park Boulevard. Staff will now make a presentation.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. This third case is referred to as the Cecil O. Cartwright House, located on 2457 North Park Boulevard. I did like to make another correction. We have confirmed based on the grant deed that in fact is North Park Boulevard, not North Park Boulevard. The property is a single-story Spanish colonial revival constructed in 1930. It's recommended that the property be listed on the register and categorized as key for its distinctive architectural style and quality, and for its association with a significant period in the history of the city, namely the development of Floral Park. The property's exterior walls are finished with white, lightly textured stucco, and a low-pitched side gable roof is clad with red clay tile in all elevations. The roof incorporates a flush or shallow overhang with exposed rafter tails. A deeply recessed parabolic arched fixed window is asymmetrically located along the west end of the front facade, making it a prominent focal point for the design. One more point of clarification, I think the DPR form has listed it as catenary. The window, it has been confirmed that it's more of a parabolic arched window, so just as a matter of clarification. Adjacent to the arched window is a smaller, deeply recessed porthole window with a cross-shaped ornamental wrought iron window grille. Along the east end of the front elevation, the structure also incorporates a series of multi-light wood casement windows, including a prominent tripart window with 3 vertical ornamental wrought iron window grilles, and a protruding decorative brick wall. Along the east elevation, 2 wood casement windows incorporate a spearhead awning with thin wrought iron supports and a solid dark brown fabric. The structure also incorporates a circular clay tile attic fence arranged in a horizontal row and a small turret-style feature protruding from the east end of the front elevation. This combination of architectural details is very distinctive among Santa Ana examples of Spanish colonial revival. In addition, the character-defining features are intact and well executed. Given this fact and the property's contribution to Floral Park, staff recommends approval of listing of the property as key and recommends that the city enter in a Mills Act agreement with the owner. That concludes staff's report. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay. Does the commissioners have any comments that they would, or questions? Commissioner Rush?
Yes. Here again, I'm focused on windows. You know, it's my fetish. This parabolic arched window I have no doubt that, of course, that's without a doubt, that's the one thing that draws your eye immediately to that house. It is very unusual and typical of that style of architecture. I live in a Spanish colonial revival style home as well, so that's not unusual in its design, except that what's there is a solid piece of glass. And I have a hard time imagining that house, when it was built in 1930, what year was it built? 1930. I thought you couldn't get floated glass that large until after the war. So undoubtedly that had a mullioned glass pane window in the front. You know anything about that? Or
I don't know.
Melanie, you have any thoughts on that? I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that was always my understanding. You couldn't get glass that big till after World War II. And again, here again, that window, what's there is not original to the house.
Well, what I would offer is, we go through Chattel, the historic consultant, for affirmation of staff's evaluation, and I would say we could go back and ask that question to those experts, and I'm sure.
Here again, I'm not going to oppose it going on the register. It should,
Sure.
but.
It's those details that make.
Windows are big. Windows, roofs. I mean, it's all part of that appearance from the street. And
well, we could certainly do some additional research and the same sort of thing. If we find out that 9 out of 10 it might have been something different, we can let the resident know, and try and encourage at some point in time if they need to replace the window.
that is a huge piece of glass.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really gigantic.
Yeah.
So
you wish you could have pictures.
I've laid awake every night since I went to look at it on Sunday. I could barely. I've been a wreck since then. You can tell. So that's all I have for my comments.
Okay. Any other questions to staff? Comments? If not, the applicant, I understand. Mr. Will, would you like to come up and talk about your property? How you came to Santa Ana?
So we used to live in North Tustin, Rocky Horse Ridge. Our kids went through college, grew up, and we had an oversized house with most of the kids out of the house. We decided to downsize. So we rented in Santiago Park for a year because we couldn't find anything when we sold. And in that period, we had the time to actually get to know the area better. And many nice houses in the Santiago Park area, and equally as many fine houses here in Floral Park. Oddly enough, out of just serendipity, my wife worked with a friend in Costa Mesa, and her mother lives next door to the house that we purchased. We didn't know that house was for sale. We were looking for Sheila Alexander's house just to stop by and say hello. Didn't know, missed that house, but saw that the owners had put a for sale by owner house or a sign up right as we were driving by. My wife and daughter popped out and asked if they could see the house. He said, fine. We walked in and we immediately said, wow, this is really a very unique house. Not only is there the arch in the front of the house, but there are 6 unique arches within the house that were all part of the design, and they're all a little bit different. I don't know the names of the different types of arches, but there's specifically 7 unique arches built into the house, and the one in the front is just one of the 7 unique ones. But the house itself is fascinating, historic, custom, unique. We fell in love with it immediately. And actually, after we purchased the house, moved in, had no idea of the wonderful neighbors, including Chris, that we've met. So the neighborhood itself is eclectic, has many young, old, and wonderful people. We love the house, we love the neighborhood, and felt it would be appropriate to have it on the historic register. And so we put in our application. There were so many, apparently, when we put ours in that it got bumped to now, but we believe that the Floral Park and Santa Ana should have more houses on the register itself. So very pleased to be a neighbor and looking forward to trying to get it designated as such.
You have a unique feature that also goes back to that the Spanish colonial style that you missed.
Are you referring to the turret in the front of the house, or are you referring to something else?
Ding dong, ding dong.
Oh, although it's not something that you would see from the front of the house. This house has a doorbell, and it's actually, before electricity, you pull on a rope at the front of the door, and it is tied to some cowbells inside the house. And Alberta, you got to see that, I believe, as did Ed. And I never understood where the term doorbell came from before. And when we got to this house, we'd never seen it before. We pulled the rope. It literally ties to some cowbells inside of the house that are on a metal spring, and it still works as advertised. So yes, that's another unique. It's got many unique features, we focused basically on the architecture in the front of the houses. That's what we understood was the qualification requirements. But the house itself has so many interesting architectural design elements inside the house as well as out. It's a lovely place to be. We bring friends in that have never been in, and they're just always awed at the unique things that are part of it. So we'd love to have it be considered for approval. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
I just hope none of those arches in the house are golden. That's all I hope.
Understood.
Because that would not be historic. So.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, George. Okay. Madam Secretary, do we have any written communication?
We do not.
Okay. The public hearing is now open. Would anyone like to, that's in the audience, wish to speak to this application? Once, twice, third. Hearing none on the subject, I now declare public hearing closed and bring it back to the council, so sorry, the commission. I'm a former councilwoman, okay, guys? It just slips out, I'm sorry. Back to the commission, here for a motion, please. Commissioner Rush.
Madam Chair, I'll make the recommendation that we list Historic Resources Commission, let's see. Yes, okay. That we adopt a resolution approving Historic Resource Commission application number 2017-39 and Historical Register categorization number 2017-38. I also recommend that the City Council authorize the City Manager and the Clerk of the Council to execute a historic property preservation agreement number 2017-43.
Commissioner, if I may.
2017-42 with George M. and Kelly W.L. Will, subject to non-substantive changes approved by the City Manager and the City Attorney, with Commissioner Rush's recommendation to look into the windows, and if they find that they are different than the original, that we recommend that the owner replace them with the recommended original windows.
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Pereshki, second by Commissioner Wen. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carried 6-0 with the absence of Commissioner Hardy and Schaefer. Thank you, George. Welcome. Go back and tell them how great Santa Ana is, okay?
We have other friends that are just like us, empty nesters. We're always telling the area about. Yeah.
Got half of our customers back, so are we on now?
Fabulous, fabulous. Okay. Okay, all right. Now, this is the time and place for the public hearing on item number 4 for Historic Resource Commission application number 2017-35, Historic Register categorization number 2017-34, and Historic Property Preservation Agreement 2017-39 for the property located at 1718 North Flower Street. Staff will now do a presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Commission members. It is a privilege to be in front of you tonight. I will be presenting on a residence located at 1718 North Flower Street. It is the H. Wagner House. This is a single-family residence constructed in 1937 in the Art Moderne style. We recommend that the house be listed as key because it is. We recommend the house be categorized as key for its exemplification of the distinguishing characteristics of the Art Moderne style and its contribution to the Floral Park neighborhood. It is a unique architectural style located in the city. Some character-defining features of this residence are the smooth stucco, the fenestration or placement of steel casement windows located on the primary elevation. The windows flank a centrally located chimney clad in smooth stucco. If you see towards the top, there's a step-in where it transitions into from smooth stucco to brick material. Some of the architectural detailing is the rounded eyebrow entry overhang located at the primary entry. There are double hung speedline sash windows located on the north elevation, which you unfortunately cannot see in these photos. That being said, we recommend that the house be categorized as key for its unique and since it is a rare and unique example of the Art Moderne style in Santa Ana. Thank you, and I'll take any questions.
Okay, any questions from the commission to staff? Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Alberta? Just a question. The steel casement windows, do they only have those in the front?
I believe so. They're only on the primary elevation, so they're located near the entryway too. And on the north elevation and the rear elevation, they're double hung windows.
I see.
Double hung wood windows.
Well, it is a nice example of Art Deco. Yeah. I have no further questions.
Anyone else? No? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, with the applicant, is the applicant here? Okay. Mr. Fairchild, hi, how are you?
My name's Robert Fairchild. I didn't know what to expect here today. This turned out to be a fantastic experience so far. I've learned more about Santa Ana than I ever thought I would know. I had never heard of Santa Ana, except driving by, but a floral park, until about 3 years ago, when me and my wife decided we were going to try to find a house. And the hustle and bustle of LA, we were thinking about moving out and all those kind of things. And then my wife took me through a tour of Floral Park and absolutely fell in love. And then we found this house, and we knew this was the house for us, especially when we first went in and the bay windows were all open, and out there, the view there, it's just spectacular. And one of the reasons why we wanted to pursue the Millsack is because we wanted to make sure that this gets held on for somebody else who moves in later, and that they'll have the same opportunity. The Santa Ana neighborhood is just spectacular. Driving home from work, as soon as I pull in Floral Park, blood pressure lowers, heartbeat goes down, and it's just like you step back into the 30s again. We walk through all the streets and stuff. The people are fantastic, and we just wanted to be a part. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Madam Secretary, do we have any written communication?
We do not.
Okay. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wish to address the commission on this application? Don't hurry. Don't everybody run out. Okay. If not, then I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for a motion.
Larry.
Commissioner Hitterdale.
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that we adopt a resolution approving the Historic Resources Commission application number 2017-35 and Historic Register categorization number 2017-34. And I also move that we recommend that the City Council authorize the City Manager and the Clerk of the Council to execute the Historic Property Preservation Agreement number 2017-39 with Robert H. Fairchild and Christina Lardis, subject to non-substantive changes approved by the City Manager and the City Manager.
I think so. Okay. Moved by Commissioner Hitterdale. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gwynn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0 with 2 absence of Commissioner Hardy and Schaefer. Where'd they go? Oh, there they go. Congratulations. Okay. Item number. We are on number 5, right? This is the time and place for the public hearing on item number 5 for the Historic Resource Commission application number 2017-36, Historic Register categorization number 2017-35, and Historic Property Preservation Agreement number 2017-40 for the property located at 2208 North Greenleaf. Okay, we will have Commissioner Marushkin abstaining on this property because of conflict here. Okay, 500 feet within there. Okay. So right now, staff will make a presentation at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Up for discussion is the property at 2208 North Greenleaf Street, known as the W.W. Woods House. The residence is located in the Floral Park neighborhood and constructed in 1929 in the English Revival style. The house has asymmetrical composition and cross-gable steep pitch roof. There are 2 chimneys located on the property. The more prominent of the 2 is in the courtyard area on the front elevation, and a second chimney located on the north elevation that you can see off to the right above the roof there on the right. In addition to the chimneys, the front elevation also features a courtyard with a about 4-foot high brick capped half wall and a prominent or large multi-light window with a wing wall that projects to the south with a rounded entry leading into a courtyard, which then leads to the front entry of the home. There's a poured concrete driveway on the south, which leads to a detached garage that's also constructed in the English Revival style. At the time of its construction, the property owner was W.W. Woods, a prominent Santa Ana businessman who owned the REO car dealership located in Santa Ana at 615 East 4th Street. Mr. Woods owned and lived at the home until selling the property in 1943 to Frank S. Lampert. The W.W. Woods House qualifies for listing in the Santa Ana Register of Historic Properties under Criterion 1 for its distinguishing characteristics of the English Revival style. Additionally, the house has been characterized as contributive because it is an intact example of English Revival architecture that contributes to the history and character of the Floral Park neighborhood. Based on the analysis provided in the report, staff recommends approval of the historic listing as contributive and that the city enter into a Mills Act agreement with the property owner. That concludes my presentation. I can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Okay, does any of the commissioners have a comment or a question from staff? Commissioner Rush?
Windows.
Windows, yeah.
What's that?
Windows.
Windows. No windows this time. I wanted to ask you about the low wall to the left of as you go up the steps through the little entry, and there's, I assume beyond that wall there is some sort of a porch out there?
It's a courtyard.
Courtyard? Mm-hmm. Okay. Is it at grade or is it elevated concrete? Or
it's at the level of the tallest step there you see right below the door.
All right. Is that courtyard original?
Our research indicates that it is.
Huh?
Our research indicates that it is. Prior to the application being processed, I believe the property owner had worked with the planner that was in charge of the historic preservation program at that time, Holly, and identified some items that were not historic to the property, which was an enclosure that was built above that courtyard area. And then it was determined if that was removed, that it would bring the property back to what was believed to be original condition, which that has been taken care of. And then in addition to that project, there was the French doors that you see just to the right of the chimney that were, as part of that project, restored to what was believed to have been there before. And after the work was completed, our preservation team with Chattel took a look at the property as well and confirmed staff's initial determination.
Mm-hmm. And the dormer that's above those French doors, that's cladded with shiplap siding, that's original too?
We couldn't find anything to indicate that they were not original, and also that siding that's on the dormer matches the siding that's found on the side gables. Right. So we believe, because we couldn't find any evidence to the contrary, that those were original. And then again, when we originally looked at it the first go-round, the second go-round, and with our consultants on board, we couldn't find anything that indicated otherwise.
Okay. I have no further question.
No, I have a question.
Commissioner Wynn?
I noticed in our package, the home have some sort of awning in front of the front window, but not in that picture. I'm wondering, is that awning been removed, or what happened?
I'm not sure which awning, but we do have an updated photo for the presentation. The photo that was included in the DPR form was taken before the packages were printed. Since then, I went out and took a new photo because there was some work being done around the French doors that has since been completed.
Yeah, that whatever you call it, half dome awning over the main, what I assume is the living room window, that's been removed, and I think that was an improvement.
Mine are the landscaping for the view corridor, right in front there. The property, are they home, Mr. and Mrs. Pirro? Are they here?
Yes, the property owner's here.
The property owner?
Mary?
Oh, okay. We have a view corridor. If it is a historic home, landscaping, shrubbery cannot block the view. And if you notice that in your front, your side of the house on the left and your chimney, in maybe a couple of months or a year, if it's not trimmed back, it's going to block that view. One of the things is that if it is on a historic property, you cannot have that blocked. You have to see from the sidewalk the whole house, the whole thing. Okay, just wanted to bring that. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments to staff? Thank you so much. Okay, now we would like to hear from the applicant. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mary Perro, and my husband and I are the property owners. We're actually new property owners in Floral Park. We purchased the home in May of this past year, 2017. We previously lived in Park Santiago, and we lived in a 1937 California bungalow, which we adored. It was 980 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, Depression-era home that we put all our heart into, and my husband and I do all the work ourselves, most of it, and really are very passionate about restoring homes. And that was a new passion we didn't realize we had until we finished that and needed a little more space. And as we were looking for a home, we knew that we wanted to either stay in Park Santiago or go to Floral Park because of the historic homes in that area, and we wanted to be part of restoring another home. So when we found this home, as it was shared earlier, there actually was someone had just added a roof over that courtyard with some windows, literally set the windows on the half wall and just put a flat roof on it. And when we saw it, it didn't quite match up to all the things my husband and I had on our list. So I saw it myself, and my husband asked me about it, and I said, just don't even go look at it. It's so cute, you will love it, but it doesn't go on our list. And he said, well, let's just go look. And of course, we saw it again, and we just felt like we couldn't let anybody else have this project. We wanted it. So we spoke with Holly Soboleski as well as Melanie McCann as we were working on the project, because our desire is to restore the home to its original design. The courtyard does have the original concrete, the red concrete with the stamps in that's also in the courtyard. So as we were looking through the home, they had just literally put a carpet on top of the concrete. It was all just right there. We also worked very diligently in photographing other homes in the area that were of the same style and the same age in order to find the original French doors that were most likely there, that also matched the window next to it as well. You're correct. The earlier picture, there was an awning that was there when we purchased the home that we've taken down. We think that's an improvement just in itself. We have a number of other things that we'd like to do to continue keeping this home, restoring it to its former glory. And inside the home, even though the home switched hands a number of times, and we think perhaps was a very early example of a flip home, it got sold and resold so many times, there's still all the original hardware, the early California hardware handles on the courtyard door. There's also one on the front door. We additionally purchased one as part of a set to add to the French doors, so the French doors all have this matching early California hardware. And inside the home, all the door handles have this beautiful glass floral petal kind of doorknob. The two chimneys are, fireplaces in the home are incredible. The kitchen is still original. We have plans to update that. And I've probably said too much. We love it. We love our home. We love the community. We love that Floral Park not only has the old homes, but also has really worked hard to stay as a community with other people who are passionate about restoring homes, and we love everything about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll. Could I just go back, if you will indulge me? I forgot I had a question to staff. Ricardo? I'm not the best person for Googling and everything else. My skills on the computer are very limited, okay? And in your write-up, you have a urban heart, H-E-R-M-A-M, or Hartman. One is Hartman and one is Harmon, okay? I don't know. It says he's a popular singer in the 1940s, performing both on radio stations and live show. I Googled both of those names. I Googled any songs by this person. The only thing that comes up is Dan Hartman. I can dream about you, okay? So I don't know who this person is in this write-up, okay? You would think if he was a 1940s singer, like Sinatra, you know, and all of them, that he would be listed someplace. There's nobody listed. I couldn't find a record. So, I mean, you know, who is this person? You know?
That information was taken from newspapers.com that kind of researches all the old newspaper clippings related to this site and also Santa Ana. It may be the case that while they may have local acclaim, that they were not on the same level as a Frank Sinatra to have captured, you know, national attention.
Andrews Sisters, you know, or something like that in the 40s, you know, the big band era, and so forth. Do you think that if he was a popular singer, correct me wrong, you know, in the 40s, I mean, you know, that's war era and everybody would be buying his records. So, I mean, if you can find something to let me know who this person is,
sure, we can conduct
our records, because I have no idea who he is, and you know, I just don't want somebody that, I mean, Google's supposed to have everybody, right? You know, and everything going back.
The things that keep us up at night, Madam Chair. Wow.
I'm sorry?
I said the things that keep us up at night.
I know. And I'm going, you know, just to, who is he?
We can definitely conduct further research and add to that description if anything else
because
pops
I
up.
don't even know what songs he sung. He doesn't even come by songs or anything. Maybe I'm doing it wrong or something, but, you know, if we're going to mention somebody as a popular radio performer and live shows and everything, we need to know, okay? in our history.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I can make a comment. To the owner, you commented about the number of owners early on in the property. When you consider the house was built in 29, it's very likely the home went through a succession of owners, as did my house, which was built in 26, because of the Depression. So people bought it and lost it, bought it and lost it, and that's probably what happened. Because people, less so in those days than today, were inclined to move a lot. Anyway, just a thought.
Okay, thank you, Ricardo. Okay, Madam Secretary, do we have any written communication?
We do not.
Okay. Public hearing for item number 5 is now open. Is there anyone from the audience that would like to speak on this application? Okay, not. The public hearing is now closed, and bring back to the commission for a motion, please.
A motion, Madam Chair,
Okay.
to adopt a resolution approving Historic Resources Commission application number 2017-36 and Historic Register categorization number 2017-35, and to recommend that the City Council authorize the City Manager and Clerk of the Council to execute Historic Property Preservation Agreement number 2017-40 with Mark D. and Mary E. Perot, subject to non-substantive changes approved by the City Manager and City Attorney.
Moved by Commissioner Tariff. Second by Commissioner Hitherdale. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All those abstaining? Abstain. Okay, motion carries. 5 yeses, 0 nays, 1 abstention, 2 absences by Commissioner Hardy and Commissioner Schaefer. Thank you so much, Ms. Pierre. Welcome. We really appreciate it. Moving on, item number 6. Now is time and place for the public hearing on item number 6 for Historic Resource Commission application number 2017-37, Historic Register categorization 2017-36, and Historic Property Preservation Agreement 2017-41 for the property located at 919 North Lowell Street. Staff? Hi, Ricardo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Up for discussion before you is the E.N. Stephenson House, located in the Washington Square neighborhood, constructed in 1928 in the Spanish colonial revival style. The house is has asymmetrical floor plan, it's clad in stucco, and has a chimney at the south elevation, the moderate pitch roof that is clad in Dutch-style clay tiles. The primary elevation features tripartite wood windows with multi-light upper sashes and single-light lower sashes. The main entry is located behind a shed roof portico. It consists of segmental arched door that's accessed through a half-width porch that extends across the house to the west elevation to the south. A contemporary fabric awning extends over the windows and the porch. The home was built by Bert Lewis. Mr. Lewis was involved in the local Boy Scouts and was a fullback with the Willard Junior High School football team. In addition to this home, Mr. Lewis also built multiple homes in the area. The home was originally inhabited by Elmer Stephenson and his wife from 1929 until at least 1932. The E.N. Stephenson House qualifies for listing in the Santa Ana Register of Historical Properties under Criterion 1 for its representation of the Spanish colonial revival style. Additionally, the house has been categorized as contributive because it contributes to the overall character and history of the Washington Square neighborhood and is a good example of period-style architecture. Based on the analysis provided in the report and in this presentation, staff recommends approval of listing and categorization and also of a Mills Act agreement with the property owners. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much. Are there any commissioners have any questions for staff or comment?
I'm just curious, do you think that roof tile is original?
We believe so. There's a couple other examples in Santa Ana and other towns that we've looked at that has this style of roof. It's not common, but they were used on these style homes.
Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't. It was just such a unique style. It was wonderful to see. Thank you.
There's several others on that street with the same type of tile. Yeah.
What the audience cannot see, because once again, it does not do it justice, those tiles are wavy like this on the whole thing. It's such a distinctive tile, you don't see that. And once again, we encourage people to go by these homes and see it, because you can't see the detail that's in that roof. It just looks like a tile roof, but it has, I've never seen that pattern myself, but I have to go to Washington Square more often to look at the roofs over there. Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you.
Okay. Is the applicant here? Hi, thank you. Ms. Fisher. Welcome. Sorry we didn't get a chance to talk to you.
That's okay. My name is Susan Fisher, and I'm the owner and the applicant. This is my boyfriend, Mike. We love Santa Ana. Mike bought a property in Long Beach, and I had been saving and trying to buy a home myself, so I actually bought this house myself. He's just there helping me with the mortgage, but I actually purchased the home myself. And we've been looking for properties, and we just love the old historical homes. And my dream was to have a Spanish-style home, and so my dream has come true. I walked into this house last July. I went on the market last July. I went into the house and I fell in love. I put in an offer and I got it. So everything has just kind of been so smooth, and like I said, I just love this house. Every day I drive up to it, I can't believe I own this home. It's so beautiful, and I'm so excited for this opportunity because we're really looking forward to working with the planning department on, just improving these little details to make it even more perfect than it already is. And I don't know if Mike wants to say a little bit.
Well, if you guys have any suggestions on what to do about jealous friends.
I'm sorry, who?
Oh, jealous friends. When they come over,
Oh.
they are experiencing extreme jealousy.
We have a group. We have a group for that. Yeah.
Thank you. And the boat in the picture there, we're getting that out of there this weekend. We're so sorry. It's just an eyesore.
You're getting what out of there?
There's a boat in the photo here on the side of the yard, and that's just, it will
boat?
be out of there this weekend.
A boat under the blue tarp.
A boat under the blue tarp. Oh, okay. I missed that. Your home has great memory for me because the lady that I think owned it up until the point that you bought it, Barbara Wood, I knew well because she was active with she was the president, Grand Poobah S of the Ebell Club in Santa Ana, very active with that. And then prior to that, the home was owned by a couple that were very active in the Washington Square Neighborhood Association, where I used to live, and am a former president of that association. And anyway, they were very active. And then prior to that, it was owned by a little old lady whose name escapes me at the moment, but she was a nanny for my children when they were little. And she walked to the Catholic Church, to St. Joseph's Catholic Church, from that address, and that's a little bit of a hike. She walked to church every morning at the crack of dawn to go to Mass, and walked to the market. I don't think she ever owned a car, and I'm certain she had the first nickel she ever made. Very thrifty lady, and but very sweet lady. And she lived there for quite some years. I want to say maybe on the order of 30 plus 30, 40 years. And her husband had passed away. But, that home's had a lot of TLC over the years. So, good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really excited to be here, and the neighbors in Washington Square are amazing. And I just met Tom Lutz last night. I volunteered to host desserts for the Progressive Dinner this weekend, and so I'm so excited to be a part of it. And
You have to be careful with that, Tom. He'll suck you in all kinds of events, you know.
Yeah.
That's how you make your friends jealous. It's invite them to one of the events that they host over there in Washington Square, because I bet you that's not happening in their neighborhood either. But while we have our distinguished commissioner, Mr. Rush here, maybe he can talk about across the street Stonehenge.
Oh, that's the old Doc Lowell house,
Yeah.
and that's a magnificent house.
We're talking about the Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Go ahead.
The rocks.
That's their nickname for the front wall.
The front
Well, yeah, that's a long story. I don't know if you want me to go there, but you see, you've asked, so here you go. The Dr. Lowell house runs all the way from Lowell Street, which you're on, all the way over. The original property ran all the way over to Freeman. And at some point, I don't know, in the late 40s or early 50s, they allowed him to chop up part of that lot, and that's how those houses that fronted on Freeman, that is probably, I don't know, 4 of them, that originally were probably the flower garden for the Dr. Lowell house, and they're now single-family residences. And that Dr. Lowell house, which is the same style of architecture as your home, I don't know who the folks are that own it, but they've owned it for some years. Years ago, I sold that house to somebody. This was in the early 90s, when a fellow by the name of Agajanian owned it out of Long Beach. That's a prominent name in Long Beach.
J.C. Agajanian, the racing
Yeah,
zone.
the racing family. This wasn't the race car driver, but they're all connected. Shirt-tail relatives. But anyway, and then he sold it to these people that own it. And unfortunately, they have chosen to be very much uninvolved in the neighborhood association. And they built that wall out there at the corner. And originally it was too close to the corner because the city had a right-of-way to put in a sidewalk. Well, the city protested, and they uncovered the title records that discovered that right-of-way for sidewalk expired after 50 years. City never put in the sidewalk, so the right-of-way expired. So they just left the wall there. They never did anything more with it. So they have sort of been thumbing their nose at the neighborhood and the city for the last, I don't know, 15, 17 years, 18 years, whatever it's been. Maybe you can make friends with them, befriend them.
We'll do our best.
Huh?
We'll do our very best.
Yeah, but it is a lovely home. It's about 3,500 square feet. All the yard is in the front because they chopped off the back to make those homes on Freeman. But the floors in that house are magnificent because they have a what I call a marginal pattern that's lighter wood going around. It's really magnificent. It's a lovely, lovely home. But that home was named after Dr. Lowell, for whom the street is named. And he practiced out of that home, which is very common for physicians and dentists and so forth. They practiced out of there. They would have one entrance for their practice and one for their general residence. So, but unlike the Crane House, named after Dr. Julius Crane, which has got a fence around it at Santa Ana Boulevard and Broadway, which after he died became a mortuary, not to be reflected upon his skill as a physician, but this house doesn't have that distinction. So anyway, good luck making friends with the folks in the Dr. Lowell house. Aren't you sorry you asked about that?
No, because it sticks out. It looks like medieval Scotland, right? I mean, it looks like, that wall that's just there with those rocks, river rocks, and it's just chunk here. It looked like, okay, where's the moat? Okay, so now you have a little bit of information in case your friends come in and say, what's going across the street?
You can tell them we
You know?
started by draining that swamp, so.
So anyway, to impress them and say, well, this is what happened, because it is so unusual. I mean, it just unbelievable. But it gives the neighborhood character, right? That's the whole thing.
Madam Chair, would you let me make the motion?
Oh, okay. Hold on.
When you're ready?
Not ready yet. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
You're
your time.
welcome. Okay. Okay. Madam Secretary, you're going to surprise us now.
Yes.
Do you have any written communication?
Yes, all communication has been distributed. You will have that at your desk, and there's also a copy on the front table here.
Very good. Very, very good that we have. So happy to hear that. Yes. This was a very popular home that had neighbors writing in and supporting your application. And some very prominent neighbors wrote letters saying, please approve this, and the importance of protecting historical properties on that. So we are very pleased to have this written communication. Okay, the public hearing is now open. Is there anyone from the public who wish to speak on this application? Okay, public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to the commission. Commissioner, do you have a question?
I would just like to make a comment. This whole case right here highlights the best of Santa Ana, because not only when the other two commissioners and I were visiting the home, Tom Lutz, who's on the board of the Washington Square, he came around. He was out inspecting the neighborhood, checking in on people and everything else. So to have a neighborhood association that active and that caring and that looking out for the neighborhood is one. The second thing is to have 3 people write about this home is just amazing. You know, we talk about wanting to preserve properties to raise the property value and the pride in that neighborhood. Here's a perfect example. You had 3 people write on their own about it, and one of the letters was so eloquent, I asked it to be sent to the city council so that they can understand what historic preservation means to the neighborhood. And so I just wanted to make a comment on that.
I hope. Did we send this to the council?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, we certainly have forwarded the correspondence to our executive director, who we hope will share with the city council.
Okay. Strongly suggest okay. To recommend that happens. Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Rush.
Okay. I move that we adopt a resolution. Do we have a second? Or does that happen after I make the motion?
Not until you make the motion.
All right. I move that we adopt a resolution approving Historic Resources Commission application number 2017-37 and Historic Register categorization number 2017-36. Recommend that the City Council authorize the City Manager and Clerk of the Council to execute Historic Property Preservation Agreement number 2017-41 with Susan Sally Fisher, subject to non-substantive changes approved by the City Manager and City Attorney, and let the record show that I did not object to any of their windows.
I would like to second the motion.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Rush, second by Commissioner Marashi. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0 with 2 absence. Commissioner Hardy and Commissioner Schaefer. Congratulations and welcome. Okay. That concludes the public hearings. We'll now move to staff member comments. Is that you, Vince?
Yeah, I just have one comment here. I think most of you know already that our former executive director, Hassan Agani, passed away about a week and a half ago. So I think it'd be a great honor to him and to his family if you would adjourn this meeting in his memory.
I have that down.
Then thank you very much.
I have that down.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, a few quick updates for you based on our previous discussions. As you see in your inside jacket of your packets this evening, we've prepared kind of a quick summary of our historic plaque program per a previous request. And I hope you take the time to review the material, which was prepared by our planning staff here, Pedro and Melanie, who get the kudos for preparing that graphically pleasing handout for folks to use when ordering their plaques. So we've decided to reinstate that plaque program and share this specific handout to folks that have become eligible for placement on the register in Mills Act. And thank you for sticking with us. We have some upcoming meetings here. Our next meeting is April 5th, which is going to be a regular meeting. We'd like to use that as an opportunity to go over some administrative matters with you, such as updating our bylaws, which was one item we've been kind of talking about. Sarah is going to reach out to each of you and poll the commission on the interest of potentially moving our meetings to an alternate Thursday. There had been some discussion previously about that, so she's going to be reaching out to you on potential substitute dates for our HRC meetings. And other upcoming meetings on April 26th, May 24th, potentially one more meeting in June to get through this backlog of HRC applications. At this time, we have approximately...
What are those dates, sir?
Sure. I'll go ahead and ask Sarah to send out a separate email, but the upcoming dates are April 5th, which is our regular meeting, and then April 26th, May 24th, and then a June meeting here to be determined and scheduled by Sarah.
I'm sorry, June?
June is a to be determined and as needed based on the applications we're able to get through here.
Okay.
So at this point, we have 21 applications remaining to process. A letter has gone out this week to inform all homeowners who are currently in the pipeline about the status of their applications, a total of 13 applicants. 7 of those 21 applicants will also be informed of their status in terms of eligibility as part of the Mills Act, and Melanie can kind of speak to that a bit if there are any questions pertaining to that. Thank you for your receipt of the CLG report. We're very proud of some of the facts and figures that we presented to the state. The 37 properties added during the reporting period, which brings our total to 630 properties on our register. That's all I have this evening. Thank you.
I have one question, staff, if I can. I just wanted to verify, Melanie, that according to your plaque program here, that the Floral Park plaque does meet all the requirements of this that we put in our newsletter.
Yes, the criteria is consistently
Perfectly matched. Okay, thank you very much.
The intention being with the handout that we will distribute that to the folks that are on the list so that they have that available, and we'll retroactively go back at some point and send it to all the folks that are on the list.
I just have a question. Okay, we are doing the backlog, okay, before the fees increase. Okay? Since the fees increase, how many applications do we have?
We've received approximately 2 applications since the fees reverted back to their initial amount.
I know I wrote my council member that appointed me to this commission, reminding them of our presentation, and congratulations to Commissioner Marashi and Vice Chair Schaefer, and Commissioner Hardy, who was there to support our presentation. I understand from the council and the feedback from the city manager and staff, it was the best commission presentation of all the commissions, okay? I want to give you a hand. Come on, Kim. Give you a hand. well received out there. And he made us proud, in helping us put that together. But I wrote him and to remind him that south, east, and west, based on our criteria for being homes listed on the historic register, because I do understand that Sandpoint wants to be involved in everything, that his neighborhood association and my neighborhood are eligible, and we are not the rich people, okay, as they all think, want to be on the historic register. So I'm encouraging the rest of you, to write your council person that appointed you, or any other council members, to get, to let them know that they need to reduce those fees, so it can be, everyone can take advantage, not just a few, but everyone. We are an old, aging city, and we need to have some of these properties, because we have in the south, especially over the west, we have people that are historic figures here in Santa Ana that help move Santa Ana, that moved here in the 50s and before that, but help move Santa Ana in the direct to the historic place that we do have today. Look on the east side, Logan neighborhood, okay, who've lived there for years, that were very important people in our history. And with these fees, they're not able to put their homes as a historic site because it's prohibitive. And we do not want that. We do not want that. So, commissioners, if you would do that, I would greatly appreciate it. And because this is budget time, and that's there. So any pressure, not pressure, but just reminding them that when we lowered the fees, we generated almost $140,000 to the city comfort. When they increase it, it was like $25,000, minuscule. So it's a supply and demand. So if you would do that, I would greatly appreciate it, okay?
Madam Chair, in the interest of discussion, and maybe I could play the devil's advocate here a little bit, that I agree with everything you're saying, but I was wondering if maybe I could ask staff, does the council look at increasing the fees as actually then reducing the number of applicants intentionally in order to reduce the cost of staff working on these applications? Do they look at it that way? Revenue, as Chair Christie is mentioning, has gone down, but then on the other hand has the cost of staff time also gone down.
Commissioners, they looked at the fees a few years ago as a way to boost the program. So they took a look at the fees. They're about $10,000 to list the structure and then get the Mills Act with the fees are on the books.
No.
So about 4 years ago, they rolled back the fees to give you a boost to get more houses listed. Last year, they decided they were in a financial situation right now. They'd take a close look at all the fees, and so they just elected not to continue with the reduction program. We're looking at it right now. Chairman Christie mentioned it. We are in a budget situation, or budget timing right now. We also have a fee study being done right now by staff. We're looking at all our fees, and we have also reached out to the city manager as far as bringing this to his attention about your concern with the fees. So the timing actually is kind of perfect for this issue to be raised right now because we are in that budget time. But to answer your question, now they looked at it more as just a need to align the fees back with the cost of doing the business, cost of the staffing doing the work. So.
Okay, Commissioner Rush?
Vince, we've had this conversation, of course, and I've had it with several staff members, but it's hard, when the fee study was done initially, that goes back to when Jay Trevino was here. And many of us, me included, howled at the conclusion of that study that we just didn't swallow the number that came out, that it's $10,000. Just, that's preposterous. How is it that we're the only city in the county that has that kind of a cost structure to do this? Now, I grant that it may be more than the $400 that we were charging originally. I get that. Clearly, you sit through some of these, you know that there's been a great deal of work that's gone into this. But still, $10,000 is a little hard to swallow. And so I hope that this fee study that's going on now is perhaps going to be done with a sharper pencil and more attention to detail. But we have the distinction of having probably the highest number of historic assets in the county, and along with that we have the highest price tag. And of course, at the rate we're going, why, after these next few meetings, we won't meet for, what, a year, probably? 2 applications since they changed the fee structure. We'll meet once a year. So anyway, it's been nice seeing all of you.
I just hope we hear that we are an important committee or commission here, historic. I hope this isn't a way of dissolving us. If you're looking at that. But once again, what use are we if we don't have any applications and so forth, or work to do in protection? So.
Well, we understand, and we're part of your team. We believe in historic preservation as well, so we keep on sending the same message to our managers as well. So we'll keep on fighting the fight for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Now it's time for the commission comments. Commissioner Wynn?
I have no comment.
Commissioner Target?
No comments. I would like to thank the applicants for applying and showing up for the meeting. It says a lot.
Commissioner Hibberdale?
No comment.
Commissioner Runch?
Well, certainly I want to congratulate all of the applicants today and encourage them to continue to look after their properties and be sure to tell their friends and neighbors that they're perhaps in a historic class of applicants to be able to get in under the wire before the fees went berserk. So I would encourage them to write a letter to the City Council and ask that they take a second look because it will have, and it's been demonstrated, this is the second go-round with the increase in fees, so it's already had a chilling impact on preservation efforts, and it will continue to be so. Maybe I missed something. I think I pay attention, but I must have missed something. I just swore that I got an email recently where that we were going to discuss, and it was going to be on our agenda today, about the resolution for the Historic Resources Commission that I had proposed and was voted on to put it on our agenda, was by unanimous vote, and that it was going to be on our agenda, and it's not on our agenda. What happened?
Well, I have the email here, and it says that once they finalize, they will prepare a resolution for your consideration at the April HRC meeting.
Oh, I guess I misread that.
What it was the bullet points, and this is, I want to compliment you, staff, because this is to the point, exactly hit every issue of concern that we have with this project on North Main Street. Kudos to you on this. But that's exactly what I think you're waiting for. Any more, if they any of the commissioner had any questions or wanted to add more to this before it came to us at our April 5th meeting? April 5th?
Correct.
Right. That's why it's not agendized. It was just sent out for you to review and comment back.
I misread that. All right. Two more things. One is a property at 700 West Civic Center Drive, which is on the southeast corner of Civic Center Drive in Spurgeon. And that, I don't know what the name of that property is, but it's owned by a fellow by the name of Dan Weaver. Dan Weaver most recently sold the Crookshank, one of the two Crookshank mansions on Spurgeon and 8th Street. And anyway, bought this house, and he's done a lot of work to it. I call it the It's a Small World house. He never met a color of paint he didn't like. He's got umpteen different shades of paint on it, but he's fixed it up. I'll give him credit for that. But what concerns me is that this is a single-family residence. Now, I would grant, given its location at Civic Center and Spurgeon, that it probably qualifies as some sort of boutique office, but he's turned it into boutique commercial industrial. He's got at any given time 4 or 5 or 6 big trucks parked there. He's completely paved the whole lot. I don't think that's allowed. I mean, it's boutique office is meant, you can have an attorney or a CPA or a civil engineer or whatever, not some, I don't know what he is, an electrician or he's in the alarm business or something, and he's got these big trucks there. It's no longer boutique office or residential. So, and I do think he actually is living there and operating his business. I don't have a problem with him living there, operating a business, but I just think it's the boundary, the edge of the envelope's been pushed way out. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that you may recall, some of you, that have been around for a while, that when we initially started the Historical Commission and putting properties on, there were a number of parcels that we wanted to put on the register, which we were slapped down from putting them on the register because they were owned by a religious order. Most particularly, some of them owned by, there's a house, I don't remember the name of it, but it's on the southeast corner of Willits and Bristol. And it was owned by the Diocese of Orange County. And so we were not allowed to put that house on the register, not protect that house. Now, that's just one example, but it's a poster child for my point. The diocese chose to sell that house, and some guy bought it and tore down all but one wall, and then built this McMansion. So the original historic home was absolutely destroyed. And I would like to ask the city attorney if there's not some way that properties that we would like to have on the register, that we can't do something that allows us that if the diocese or whatever the religious institution is going to sell that property, they have to notify us, and that we're then allowed, when that property is sold, not to another religious order, that it then goes on the registry. Because this is one example, and I know there have been others, where we've lost historic assets because, initially we're slapped down from being able to put them on the register, then they sell them to a private party, and it gets away from us, and next thing you know, we have a historic property that's been torn down or demolished. That's not right. And the diocese knew very good and well that we wanted those properties on the registry, and of course they use their exemption, which they're allowed under the federal government, to say, oh no, you can't do that. Well, okay, fine, we can't do it while you own it, but when you choose to sell it to a private party, then we can do it. We ought to be allowed to do that.
Question for you, Commissioner Rush. is a religious organization not allowed to put something on the historic register because they don't pay property taxes on that?
Oh, no.
Property?
They're allowed, if they don't object to it, then we can put it on. But at least the Catholic Church categorically will not allow. They just rejected all of them, every single one.
So it's the church that's not allowing it, rather than it's not the city?
Well, no. The city wanted to put these properties on the historic register.
Right.
The religious institution said, no, we're allowed an exemption. We can exempt ourselves from that, which they were allowed when that law was passed years ago by the federal government, that they could exempt themselves, okay, as a religious institution. But if they want to allow it, they can. But our bigger problem is where they exempt themselves out, and then at some later date, they choose to sell the property. It goes to a private party, and then they alter it altogether, and we've lost the historic asset. So,
well, I guess I don't understand how that all works, but we can discuss that after the meeting.
Okay.
And our attorney, that's struck, is going to get back with us on that as far as getting a relief. Okay.
I just want to congratulate all the homeowners. Congratulations, and also thank the staff very much for putting together the report. So that's a lot of work to do that. And finally, I just want to make everybody aware that on April 7th from 11 to 3, the Historical Preservation Society is opening up the Dr. Wilma Walker House, which is directly across the street from the courthouse, for their open house. What?
Willella Howe Waffle.
There you go. Thank you. So there you go.
That's Willella Howe Waffle, not the How Awful House, but the Willella Howe Waffle House. And no, they don't sell waffles there.
The water. Okay.
Commissioner, don't you have something other coming up in
Well, I
April?
talk about that at the next meeting.
You want it at the next meeting?
You don't want to talk about your upcoming home tour? Okay, all right. That would be the end of April. 10 to 4, rain or shine.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you once again to all of you, for taking advantage of our historic preservation, and I know that you've learned a lot, and we learn something every single day. Now, tomorrow is a very important historic, speaking of Santa Ana College. Okay, we're having at Santa Ana, Commissioner Nguyen and I served as
Measure
board member,
Q.
the Measure Q bond, okay, which was going for the improvements of Santa Ana College. And we're the oversight. And believe me, they've done exactly what we asked with that bond said to do. So tomorrow at 10 o'clock, from 10 to noon, we're having the big grand opening of our Centennial Mall in the campus on there. This is going to be a big event. You're going to see the buildings that have been completed, this beautiful mall that's out there, in addition to construction that's still going on. So if you're not doing anything, please come by. I understand in parking lot 6 and 7, you will not get ticketed. Okay, so park there off of 17th Street, 17th and College, I think that's that. Is that right? Okay, that we have. So please come out, rain or shine. Rain or shine, it's going to go through, but it's a big event. And for those of you who haven't seen it, there's the Tessman Planetarium right there, with the new improvements that they have. Okay, so that's tomorrow. So I hope to see all of you out there if you can make it. Okay, and then, as said, if there's no, I'd like to adjourn the meeting in memory of our former executive director of the planning department, Hassan Haghani, who passed away last week. Was it last week? About a week ago. 2 weeks ago Saturday. He was a delightful person, to know and to work with. And boy, when I got the email, it just seemed like it was sudden, you know, and that happened. I know he was telling me about Christmas. The Christmas, he and his entire family met in the Middle East, Turkey or Saudi Arabia or someplace over there, where all of his family members came together for Christmas. And he said, I cooked a turkey for them. He was so proud because many of them didn't know how to cook a turkey. And it was just the whole thing of being with his family, celebrating, and, you know, and when he was here, he listened to all of us, especially in our neighborhoods, about the things that were going on. And, you know, he's going to, you know, we missed him when he left, but now, you know, we wish, please extend our sympathy to the family for us. So with that, I adjourn the meeting at 6:30. Thank you all for coming.